Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we're back with another Total War Warhammer video. Today, Creative Assembly have just released what they're titling as a siege battle between Cathay and Tzeentch. In all honesty, after looking at the footage, it looks more of an animation showcase than anything else, and I'm not trying to sound negative, it's just literally that. If you haven't seen it yet, I would recommend skipping to the end of the video. I've got some chapters here, which will have the full unedited footage right there. But we're going to talk about this quite heavily, and yeah, let's go from that. Okay, let's get down to business. So Creative Assembly have released a 9-minute video titled Grand Cathay vs Tzeentch Siege Battle. And yes, it is a siege, but we're really not getting anything about the siege. In fact, it's more of a narrative more than anything else, and that doesn't really give us a lot of information regarding sieges and all that type of stuff. I'll be completely honest with you, I understand why they're not doing it, because, well, they're probably not ready. There's even a disclaimer at the beginning of the video saying that anything's subject to change and so on, so they probably don't want to give any stats out and all that, and how quickly you will be able to get resources, but it's not a siege battle, it's a showcase. I know I'm not the only person who actually wants to see some proper gameplay, and I really wish that Creative Assembly would give us a proper battle. It didn't have to be a siege battle, they could have easily shown us a land battle between Tzeentch and Cathay, and that would have been something to tide us over till we actually got some more concrete gameplay, even some siege battles proper. But with all that being said, it's a 9-minute clip and there is some interesting stuff, so let's just talk about all that stuff. Okay, something very minor here, but it does look like the Chaos Spawn has something different to differentiate it from all the others. These ones have some tentacles on their back, which I believe have been pointed out before, but I'm not 100% too sure. I've looked through all the others, and yeah, it's a recolor, but it's got some new stuff. It still could be a bit better looking, but hey, better than nothing. It's funny, because we've already paid for the Chaos Spawn twice, haven't we? With the Chaos Warriors, and of course with that of the Beastmen too. I'm not sure, but it does seem that the Blue Horrors will also be a ranged unit, which I guess could work, unless we're getting two different variants, one that's melee, one that's ranged. Though we can see that Tzeentch has a lot of firepower here, and that's going to be really interesting to see how this works out, because, well, demons didn't really have a lot of firepower in the tabletop. Okay, so this screenshot might be potentially very important, as it looks to be the outer wall, and if that's the case, that means we have a unit looking outside and a unit looking inside. This isn't 100% confirmed. I did speak to some other creators and they think it's the same thing, but getting an answer from Creative Assembly is kind of difficult with these things until they start saying everything in the public Discord. So once you see them, go and ask, because it kind of looks like it and hopefully they can answer, and if this is the case, then we finally have a major issue with sieges solved. Some people might think I'm being a bit too negative in this video, and I understand that, but one thing is absolutely certain. This is an absolutely gorgeous map. I can't wait to play with this because it's just cool. Visually, it's stunning. It is just that good. Not too keen on the fact that she's going to be riding on some lightning, kind of like the Tsarina rides on snow. It just looks like a reused and rehashed animation, and to be honest, it would just be cool to see her walking dramatically or running. She looks like one of those types that would. We get to see Kairos Fate Weaver up close here, and it's just such a great looking model. Honestly, well done to the art team. He just reminds me so much of the tabletop mini. It's great. Makes me feel bad that I haven't painted him yet, but eventually. We do get a nice look at the Tzeentchian Soul Grinder, and that's actually really nice, because you can tell it's got some avian features. This is very, very important for Tzeentch, and it looks very much differently, despite the fact that it is the same model to the one of Khorne. That's great, because aesthetic, especially for a undivided demon, which kind of had this whole same look, it's nice to see them looking different. It gives me hope for the Slaanesh one, and hopefully the Nurgle one is just a fat boy.
Miao Ying, sensing the impending fall of the outer wall, lends her magic and abilities to the fray. She casts Talons of Night to cover the retreat of her archers and crossbowmen, and Wrath of the Storm to bolster the might of her readying Jade warriors.
Okay, I played this specific clip in its entirety, not just for your benefit, but my own too. You see, the first spell looked really cool. I like the idea of it, and it looks like it'll be very deadly at a choke point or something. Keep in mind that right now I'm assuming, as we don't know exactly what these spells do. But the second, what was the point of showing off a buff spell? I mean, it does the same thing as every other one. It lights up your units, and they get a little stronger. Even then, those melee units were nowhere near a fight. So whoever was casting that was pretty much wasting winds of magic, weren't they?
To ensure his own survival, he selfishly casts Oracle of Eternity to reinforce his resistance, and Gaze of Fate to counter Miao Ying's boost to her Jade Warrior's effectiveness.
Okay, so being able to buff yourself as Tzeentch, totally expected, though that Gaze of Fate spell, I want to know if this is just a debuff or something that nullifies a buff spell, as if it's the second thing, that would be extremely impressive, because he does say to nullify the effects, so that kind of sounds like it's something like a D-spell, and if that's the case, well, that would be absolutely awesome, because D-spells are something that we've been waiting for a long time, and they're still not being implemented into game, though if it comes in Game 3, I'm more than happy for this.
Calls upon her greatest of powers and transforms into her namesake, assuming her dragon form.
We didn't even get to see the full transformation. That would have been kind of cool to show off. I think that would have been really interesting for the fan base. Not only that, but I want to see that too. But, you know, at least it's cool from what we could see, like half of it. I'm just going to put it out there, Forsaken need to be unbreakable just like the Chaos Spawn, because it makes no sense for something so heavily mutated to feel any sort of fear. I understand that this is a lore thing, but come on, does that not make sense? Now, with everything being said, yeah, this was cool, but it was a narration, not a proper siege battle. It's just some cinematic shots. I don't want to sound negative. We've learned a lot, we've seen a lot, and it was great seeing the Tzeentch demons so up close, and even the Cathay units. Some of them have really, really cool animations, and that was really great to see. But we've seen this all before, at least a large portion of it, so we've really not gotten anything new, which is a bit of a shame. Hopefully we'll be able to get some information soon, as really we need to start seeing some gameplay, some proper gameplay. Like I said before, a standard battle would have been fantastic. Just a few units versus some others so we can see some unit cards and so on. We'll all understand completely that the stats are not what is going to be at the end when the game finally gets released. All in all, cool showcase, but it's nothing more than something a little pretty. And yeah, again, not trying to sound negative, it's just, I think we're all waiting to see them in action properly, aren't we? Or at least a few more spells and so on, because by this point they must have some stuff locked down in terms of animation, not just a buff spell. That kind of killed it for me, I must admit. I'm still hyped for the game, don't you get me wrong. I was really hyped up for the Kislev stuff, and it's something that I'm really curious about in terms of mechanics, but I want to see some of those mechanics in play, or at least just see them in battle. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and let's start a bit of a discussion, and let's see what comes out of this, because I liked the video, but I still think we could have gotten a bit more, if that makes any sense. Either way, at the end of this video will also be the unedited version in case any of you guys want to check it out there. But other than that, I'll see you all again very, very soon.
The Great Bastion, more than a wall, a symbol of everlasting defiance, is besieged. Demon armies in service to Tzeentch, the Changer of Ways, have amassed at the Snake Gate, the Turtle Gate, and the Dragon Gate. A three-pronged attack to overwhelm the wall and corrupt the lands of Cathay beyond. Miao Ying, the Storm Dragon, defender of the northern provinces, master of the storm winds, and supreme matriarch of Nangao, rides with her army to once again drive back the Chaos God's advances. The Snake Gate, one of three heavily fortified gateways bridging Grand Cathay and the Chaos Wastes. A fortress built into the Great Bastion itself, and a key defensible position for Miao Ying. Seldom do the demons breach it, but when they do, Grand Cathay is plunged into suffering. If chaos is not stopped here, it's the lands beyond that will suffer. Best to face these demons head-on in a fortress built for defense, than to allow them to encircle and besiege any one of Cathay's majestic cities. Should the unthinkable happen, Cathay is not indefensible. Chaos will find every inch of every street hard fought and shielded every step of the way. The Dragon Emperor would expect no less from his loyal subjects. Miao Ying is the firstborn of the Celestial Dragon Emperor and commander of the Great Bastion. She is the Storm Dragon, and expertly wields the law of Yin to both smite her foes and grant boons to her soldiers. Grand Cathay at its core approaches war defensively. Centuries spent beating back the endless waves of chaos has taught them to covet the delicate balance between soldiers and the unparalleled strength of magic and black powder. Unbreakable lines of spear and swordsmen to hold back the hordes, whilst archers, crossbowmen, wizards, artillery, and war machines decimate from afar. This is Yin and Yang, the harmony between Cathay's combatants, giving heart and order in the face of horrors untold. So in tune with the winds of magic are Cathay's wizard kind that the mere presence of another user bolsters magical potency. This elemental mastery rings true for 2 wizards as it does for 10, making Cathay's magical prowess a thing of deadly wonderment, which they'll need in earnest to survive the coming storm. Kairos Fateweaver is the insidious architect of this assault, and is heralded as the wisest of the Lords of Change. Cast into the Well of Eternity by Tzeentch, Fateweaver emerged with 2 heads. The left scries the past, while the right foresees the future. Thus, the Oracle of Tzeentch sees both the road ahead and the path behind, but is rendered blind to the present. The demons of Tzeentch march forward, their legions unfathomable as they shake the very ground with their approach. Fateweaver relies on a powerful array of ranged and flying lesser demons to chip away at and harass the Great Bastion, whilst hammering it with horrifying spells from afar. But given the fortress walls to hunker behind, Cathay has the rare advantage in a toe-to-toe ranged standoff this day. To counter, Fateweaver deploys a host of melee demons to soak up the limited pool of Miao Ying's ammunition. To aid in their approach, these foul demons possess a shield of magical energy that Cathay's desperate defenders must first shatter before the creature beneath can be wounded. The drums of war thunder, and the invasion begins. The approach is tough for Fateweaver, whose forces are hammered by Cathay's great cannons and fire rain rockets. These deadly artillery units can devastate an approaching army, demolishing the morale of even the most hardiest of men. But demons don't possess such mortal weaknesses, and it's the peasant archers and the Jade Warrior crossbowmen who must chip away at the endless hordes approaching. Nearby Celestial Dragon Guard and Jade Warriors create a harmonious battlefield for their ranged allies, making these warriors of Cathay fight all the harder in the name of their Dragon Emperor. But it's not enough. Miao Ying, sensing the impending fall of the outer wall, lends her magic and abilities to the fray. She casts Talons of Night to cover the retreat of her archers and crossbowmen, and Wrath of the Storm to bolster the might of her readying Jade Warriors. Meanwhile, Kairos Fateweaver instructs his minions to bring down the fortress gates. To ensure his own survival, he selfishly casts Oracle of Eternity to reinforce his resistance, and Gaze of Fate to counter Miao Ying's boost to her Jade Warrior's effectiveness. The fortress is breached, and Tzeentch can almost taste Cathay beyond the Bastion. But Miao Ying isn't done yet. She falls back, retreating to her barricades, where already crossbowmen and archers are docked to cover the exodus. Kairos' foresight makes him a hard beast to outmaneuver, and he didn't take the western path as Miao Ying had hoped he would. She orders her barricades to be deconstructed and rebuilt in the east of the fortress, where the demons are making strong headway. From here, Miao Ying knows she's entering a war of attrition. She's dedicated key hardpoints to fall back to, and can now only hope she has the manpower to defeat Fateweaver's forces before her own are overwhelmed. It's an arduous and bitter battle, and forces Miao Ying all the way back to her last line of defense. Here is where the battle is won, or the Bastion falls. Fateweaver's forces are dwindled but not defeated, and Miao Ying has only a fraction of the brave men and women she began with. With little other choice, she calls upon her greatest of powers and transforms into her namesake, assuming her dragon form. In the face of such raw power, Kairos Fateweaver and his legion of demons are overwhelmed and routed. The Changer of Ways' blindness to the present has lost him the battle. But surely he knew this defeat would come to pass. Snakegate stands firm, and Miao Ying the Storm Dragon, defender of the northern provinces, master of the storm winds, and supreme matriarch of Nangao, emerges victorious. But an unease settles within her gut. Tzeentch is the architect of fate, the Changer of Ways, and such an all-out assault is not indicative of his servants. Though the Snake Gate was a victory, Miao Ying cannot shake the feeling that the day's events have heralded a changing of the tide. Fresh threats are awakening, and the fall of the Turtle Gate shows that the Great Bastion's resilience may not be as certain as once thought.
But with that, my friends, we've come to the end of our video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, might I suggest giving the video a like, or even subscribing to the channel, as it really does help us out. In the description section below are various links to different social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and Discord. Also in the description section is an affiliate link with Element Games where you could buy loads of hobby-based products, not just Warhammer, for 10 to 25% off. Making a purchase using that link and also our special code, which is also in the description, supports the channel at no extra cost to you, which we think is rather cool. A big thank you to our patrons. Your support means the world to us. It's amazing that people want to help a small channel like us grow and get to a higher level of content. A big thank you to Gibraltar LUSC, Ryan Bertsche, Andrew Prince, and Okro for subscribing to us at our Fane level. You guys are super cool. And a big thank you to Edward Yule, VS Vasan, Aaron Whitman, and Shaggy for subscribing to us at our King level. Honestly, we can't thank you all enough. And lastly, a big thank you to all of you for liking, sharing, and commenting on these videos. Honestly, it's because of you guys that the channel's been growing at such a great pace lately, so we can't thank you all enough. But with that, my friends, thank you so much for watching once again, and we shall see you all again very, very soon. Have a good day.